guys, it's Shadow the Rat, and for today's video, I wanted to talk about my experience with dwarf rats. So I wanted to make this video for a while now, but I was waiting to get my younger dwarf girls so it wouldn't just be Toast, which is my senior dwarf girl here. But basically, I've had dwarf rats for over 2.5 years now, and I figured it was time to just talk about my experience with them because, well, now that I've had them for a while, I can kind of give some real life experience instead of just talking about what I've read about them, which is basically what I talked about in my first dwarf rat video back when I got Toast and her late sister Butter. Anyways, for anyone who doesn't know, dwarf rats are a spontaneous mutation that popped up in lab rats, and they have been around for decades at this point. And shortly after they were discovered in labs, they made their way into the pet population, mainly because they were found to have a very interesting feature, which is that they are very resistant to certain types of tumors. And if you have female rats, you'll know that they're very prone to mammary tumors, typically, at least standard intact females are. And dwarf rats of both sexes are extremely resistant to these types of tumors, which makes this mutation pretty desirable just because of the health benefits. And as a result of them not developing these tumors, they also tend to live about 40% longer than standard rats, which is another big benefit. The other interesting thing about dwarf rats is they stay very tiny, typically around the size of a 5 to 8 week old standard rat. And here I have a 4-month-old dwarf rat. This is my girl Pumpkin Seed. As you can see, she is very, very tiny. Then over here, I have a 6.5-month-old dwarf rat, and this is my girl Jelly Bean. And then finally, you have my senior dwarf rat Toast, and she is 2 years and 8 months. So as you can see, they're all pretty small. Let me get one of my standard girls out to compare. So this here is my girl Coffee, and she is a 6.5-month-old standard rat. And let's compare her real quick to Jelly Bean because they are the same age. And as you can see, Coffee is a lot bigger than Jelly Bean. But yeah, the size difference is very noticeable. Other than that, dwarfs typically have some features that are very distinct to them. They typically have large eyes, a very skinny, short tail, and they also typically have large feet for their size. So yeah, those are kind of the typical characteristics of dwarfs. But as far as my own experience with dwarfs go, basically I have had 6 dwarfs so far. Including my current 3. Now this is unfortunately where things get a little bit mixed because my experience with dwarf rat health and lifespan has not been completely what I was hoping for. I mean, it has been in some regards, but it hasn't been in others. So that's what I wanted to go over. So as far as the good, I have, of course, my girl Toast, who, like I mentioned, is over 2 years and 8 months. I've had Toast since she was, I believe, 9 weeks old, I want to say. Maybe it was 10 weeks. But yeah, she is very healthy. She has 0 health issues. As you can see, she's tumor free. She has no mobility issues. She is really just a very healthy and happy rat, other than being perhaps a little bit chunky, but you know, that's okay given her age. But yeah, anyways, I think that Toast is a really great example of exactly what I want to see in a dwarf rat. That is to say, she's healthy, she's active, even though she's quite old, and she really doesn't show any signs of aging other than, well, having a few white furs. Other than that, she's pretty much exactly as she was when she was a year old. So yeah, the way Toast is aging is really awesome to me. She's definitely aging gracefully and she doesn't have any issues, and I'm hopeful that she'll be around for a while yet because she doesn't have any issues. So that is definitely one of the goods, and the other good is that my girl Tater Tot, or I should say my late girl Tater Tot, because unfortunately I had to have her euthanized this summer for a Zimbel's gland tumor, but while that was awful, she was over 3 years and 2 months, so she was extremely old. And she had been in perfect health up until the Zimbel's gland tumor, and that only developed for a few weeks before I had her put to sleep because it just is one of those things that unfortunately rats do not recover from. But considering her age, you know, it wasn't super surprising, and I was very happy with how healthy and active she stayed up until that point, because even when she was 3 years old, before the tumor popped up, She had zero issues getting around. In fact, she was even healthier than when I got her, because she was pretty chunky when I got her, and I was able to get her down to a better weight. And after that, she was super active. She was always running on the wheel, even when she was, again, like 3 years old. Same with Toast. So again, a very great example of a rat that aged very gracefully. But yeah, Toast and Tater Tot kind of met my hopes for dwarf rats. You know, they stayed very healthy and active and just lived very long lives. I mean, Toast is obviously still living, so pretty much exactly what I was hoping for. As far as my not so good experience goes, unfortunately, that has to do with their sisters. So first of all, we have Toast's sister Butter, who passed away earlier this year. And she developed a pituitary gland tumor, which is a type of brain tumor, when she was a little over 2 years and 3 months. And unfortunately, she did not respond super well to medicine, and she ended up passing away from it. And her age was what I would consider pretty average for a standard rat. You know, 2 years and 3 months is not bad for a standard rat. But considering that she was a dwarf, I was hoping to have her for a little bit longer. And unfortunately, the same thing kind of happened to Tater Tot's sister French Fry. Although in her case, she developed a Zimbel's gland tumor, just like Tater Tot. But she was only 23 months old. Well, actually, she was 22 months old, but I had her put to sleep when she was 23 months. So in her case, she developed it much earlier than I was expecting, so that really sucked. But yeah, that was unfortunately not so great of an experience. Again, she was technically on the older side for a rat, but considering she was a dwarf, I was hoping to have her for a little bit longer. That has been my experience with dwarfs so far. Of course, I can't really comment on this little girl here, Pumpkin Seed, or my other young dwarf, Jelly Bean, because, well, they're still pretty young, so it would be extremely awful if they had health issues at this age, and they don't. You know, I would definitely not expect them to either. And same goes for my standard rats. Like, I wouldn't expect Coffee here to have any health issues either, considering she's only a little over 6 months. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much been my experience with dwarf rats. Like I said, it's been a little bit mixed, but I feel like overall it's been pretty positive, even though I haven't had the best luck with all of my dwarfs. I feel like, at least with Toast and Tater Tot, I've seen, you know, exactly what I was hoping for in dwarfs, you know, the longer lifespan and less health issues with age, and them just staying more active and kind of healthy until the end. Well, you know, in the case of Tater Tot, of course, in the case of Toast, I don't know for sure, but considering her age right now, I do feel like she's doing quite well. But yeah, it's been a pretty good experience overall, and that's why, of course, I got 2 more dwarf rats, and I do plan to get more dwarfs in the future. And I kind of chalk up the mixed part of the experience with dwarfs as more of a just unlucky situation, because both of those rats developed tumors that aren't super common in rats. I'm sure the more dwarfs I have, the better experience I'm going to have, because I'll just have, you know, more dwarfs to kind of look at statistically. It's kind of hard to judge when you're just looking at like 4 dwarfs, because I've only had 4 older dwarfs. I can't really get too much from that. Whereas with standard rats, I've had like 60 plus of them, so it's a little bit different when I'm looking at, you know, how long they live and what health issues I've seen and so forth. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share my experience with dwarf rats, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. These girls are kind of tired of me, so I'm going to go ahead and end this here, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about dwarf rats. And you know, I'd love to hear your experience with dwarfs as well. I know that they are, like I said, a little bit less common than standard rats, but they are quickly becoming more common and more popular, so more and more people are having them, which I think is pretty awesome. Anyways, I will see you guys next time, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!